Do you know what this is? Are you sure you know what this is? Because what you don't know might be costing you lots of pleasure. I'm Dr. Logan Levkoff, and I'm the host of Mom Ed in the Bedroom. Hi, can I talk to you about birth control?
Sure.
Do you know what this is? Are you using the right birth control?
I hope so.
Do you know what this is?
Extra large condom, maybe?
Do you know what this is? Circle. Starts with a D.
A diaphragm.
It's a diaphragm. What if I told you that is birth control?
I'd hope it wasn't used, but they handed it to me.
I've read the books, and as a woman and also as a professional from two different lenses, and I don't see this particular book as violence against women. I really don't. I think
by women being taken out of control, held against their will.
But this girl does have different control in different senses, and I want us to be clear that the particular community, that kink community, has very orchestrated rules and negotiations. I mean, this is a romanticized in some way version of that.
But it's consensual. So let's be clear.
This is
not depict rape or anything like that.
But
Dr.
would that be arousing?
What is that's the larger question.
Yeah.
Do you think women really do want to fantasize about someone causing them physical pain? The book deals with that, and they don't sugarcoat it. It is physical pain.
It is, but in some cases, it's different kind of sensations. It's not as simple as pleasure versus pain, and I think that's the big piece of it. And it's not that women want to fantasize about these things. It's that sometimes we do. Sometimes we can be turned on by it, and it doesn't mean that we're acting it out or have any desire to in real life.
These books are selling. That's the bottom line. The fact is, they seem to be interested in this material, and they seem to not be able to put it down. You said yourself.
Yes, I could put it down.
Well, okay, there's somebody who liked it. You were disturbed by it. I am not interested in it. I don't read it, but I think I'd be very disturbed by it.
One thing that a lot of the women we talked to in the piece said that it actually spiced up their own
So
relationship.
good. Yes. That's a good thing. That's a good thing, right? I mean, particularly these days when people around perimenopausal age and whatnot might be having some drop in libido. That's a great thing. Take a medication, that way you read a book. Fantastic. But it says something socially about us that's a little bit disturbing.
That's what I wonder. Do women, is that really where we've come after 50 years?
But
women have the power.
I don't think this is political, and I think that we have to get out of some of that fantasies are sometimes just fantasies, and there are ways for our minds to explore things we wouldn't tap into. And what's important to me about this is women's storytelling. Women being able to say something enhanced my marital sex life, I want to share it with you. And that's the interesting thing for me about all of this. So let's talk about the fantasy that I think comes up very often with women, but we sometimes feel ashamed about it, and that's the sex with strangers.
Sex with strangers is about losing control, about being desired so much.
Operating on pure instinct and lust. And I think in a lot of relationships, especially when you've been with someone for a long time, some of that intense passion goes away. Not that you can't have deeper intimacy, but sex with strangers gets back to that just going for
Getting
it.
those hormones kicking up in high gear, yes.
In the book, I interviewed hundreds of women.
Did they tell you their fantasies?
They told me their fantasies.
What?
They're all very
Liars.
exciting. My own husband said, do I know these women and can I meet them?
Are they slutty? What are the fantasies?
Total sluts.
Okay.
Hardly, but it's amazing what a working mom or a stay-at-home mom can fantasize about in her spare time.
And at Good in Bed, we did a survey about sexual adventurousness. We surveyed like 3,500 men and women, and the women were way more sexually adventurous than the men, which I did find really surprising because you sort of think of your wife as not being like the naughty girl.
Well, maybe it's
And
not
we
with
are.
you. But
We're definitely naughtier than we get credit for, that's for sure.
And some women they start to feel like the mom. I mean, they lose that
They
feeling
are the mom.
No, but I'm saying you lose that feeling of being sensual because most of the hours of the day you're spent in that role.
Vomit all over you. It's hard to feel sexy.
Well,
and you haven't
it's beyond
slept
that.
and you-
I mean, the minute you become a parent, you lose your name. You're not, Logan, I'm Maverick in Memphis's mom. And I think it's hard to feel like a sex goddess when you can't even remember what your name is.
Oh, these crazy kids, you have...
And we still hear that a lot, but it's actually pretty far from the truth. We're sexual throughout our lives, and we're seeing more and more that our older generations are sexual too. In fact, the biggest sex behavior study was just released by Indiana University, and it looked at people between 15 and 94.
Wow.
Yes, so clearly sex is not just for the young, and people over the age of 50 are experimenting and engaging in a variety of sex behaviors, certainly not just teenagers.
Well, when you think about it, people in that age group were around during the sexual revolution. They were very free when they were young. Then maybe they wanted their kids to be a little more conservative, but now their lives are their own again. So they're cutting loose.
Well, that's part of it. And also, I think that when we hit a certain age, we're not affected by those old expectations of us, and we know what sexual chemistry is. We want to kind of jump right into that and not really play games. We know what we want. We're not afraid of going after it. And that's why we're seeing a lot of these online surveys even that are saying that people over the age of 50 are more likely to have sex on the first date than those that are younger than them.
Really?
That's
I know,
what they
right?
say.
But when you think about it, it makes sense.
Let's talk about sex ed in the school for a second, because you're into that, I know.
Yes, very much so.
How old should a child be before they should be exposed to sex ed in a school?
Well, I think it's important to remember that sexuality education isn't teaching your kids how to have sex. It's setting them up for a good understanding of their bodies, what's happening to them in their sexual development, and then how to evaluate healthy choices. This idea that we have some crazy people out there that think that if we talk to kids about sex, it means we're telling them what to do and how to do it and, to run out and do it right now. They're crazy.
So
Absolutely
you're
crazy.
talking about like Sean Hannity on Fox, for example?
Yeah, I've been there. I just debated with him last week. Lovely experience.
And is he somebody who just twists the whole thing around to make it look as though it's some perversion that teachers are into?
Oh, absolutely. Okay. I mean, suggesting that sexuality educators teach things like bestiality and give out vibrators. That was one of the suggestions that was made. I can assure you that that's not a part of my educational program.
Maybe, Logan, that's a fantasy of his.
You know what? I didn't think about that, but maybe I'll send him a vibrator now.
I think you should send one.
Done.
You've been wanting one of these. Here it is.
So, unhealthy or natural?
Totally healthy and completely normal. We're married. We're not dead. We want our libidos to still be there. We want to be able to, be attracted to someone else. That doesn't mean you actually want to go out and have some kind of extramarital affair, but to know that you still could find someone else attractive and someone else could find you attractive is exciting.
Because after all, I mean, if you've been married a while, that excitement, those butterflies, they can go away. So just to know that a member of the opposite sex thinks you're attractive, it can really shoot your confidence up.
Relationships definitely evolve, and there is thrill to that. And I think the best thing is to work it into your own life to know I'm still attractive, that feels good to me, and I can go out in my real relationship and have this new sense of, sexual and romantic confidence because I know that other people find me attractive.
Is it hard to get these women to do it these days, or what?
Well, it's definitely a little bit more complicated, especially when sometimes men forget to say thank you. I mean, thank you gets you sex.
I mean, after you sleep with them, they're supposed to say thank you?
No, before. Thank you for everything.
Go home and say thank you.
I see. Just thank you for everything.
Very simple. Take a shower and say thank you.
And how about begging? Does that work?
Not very often.
No.